Good evening, Second Life and fans from beyond. We're here at United Football League headquarters. Actually, we're not here at United Football League headquarters. We are visiting the Raiders field tonight, as we had some technical difficulties over there. About to kick off a brand new Season 2 football weekend. You're watching Winner's Circle. Now, this show is the first of its kind in SL football. While we've had shows that look at how games have gone and speculate how games will go, this is the first focused entirely on sharing our knowledge and teaching what it takes to succeed as a player and a team in the UFL. We're looking at starting each new week, interviewing the recipients of the Player of the Game award from last weekend, and getting their insights on just that. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing our panel, the Players of the Game for Week 2. Representing the Warriors in a 69-21 victory over the Cowboys, we have Darian Humphreys. We have Mr. Blaze Vela for the Mustangs in a 35-7 victory over the Raiders. And for the Titans, a 78-0 win over the Huskies, Troy Briere. Gentlemen, good evening, congratulations, and welcome to the Winner's Circle. Starting tonight in the spirit and the idea of the show, the first thing I want to talk about is your team environment. Every team's different. They each have their own culture, their own atmosphere, their own quirks. You get different personalities together, and there are always challenges to overcome in getting them all locked in like pieces of a puzzle. So my first question is about that. How do you describe your team's culture, and how do you handle the rough patches, like having to make tough decisions and smoothing over disagreements? Darian, we'll start with you.
Okay. If I had to describe our team culture in words, I guess I would say earned and never given. And it starts on a team level. When we go out there, one of the first things that we tell people when they come to the Warriors and from time to time is that just because you played a spot one week doesn't guarantee that you have the spot the next week. We are constantly earning our spots week after week. Even as an owner myself, if somebody's playing a spot better than I am, then I have to respect that, and I have to give that person an opportunity, because it's not about me as a player. It's not about any one person as a player. It's about the team and our goal of winning. We always approach every game, every practice with earning our spots, earning our victories, because nobody's going to give us anything. As far as ironing out rough patches, like making decisions and things over, it really starts with what's best for the team. Any problem that we face, we have to look at it from a perspective of whatever the answer is. Is it going to help us to advance as a team, or is it going to hold us back? And then from there. And as far as smoothing things over, it comes down to respect. We go at each other. We're very competitive, but at the end of the day, we respect each other as teammates and as people. So, that goes a long way.
All right, and Troy, what about you?
Well, it's kind of the same thing as far as, each position is really earned on a field. Nothing is really given to anybody. And that really goes for me, too, considering that we have, 3 quarterbacks or 4 on our team, again, each week, just like Darian said, it changes. It depends on who we're playing, what our game plan is going to that game. And as far as, how we handle rough patches, I'm pretty sure each team had their own, where a couple guys went at it, screamed, yelled, do what they had to do, but then come back the next day, because we all respect each other, and then, just play our game.
Yeah, definitely. And Blaze, what's your thought here?
First and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me here today. But yeah, as our culture of our team is pretty similar to what Troy and Darian had to say. Every spot on the team is earned. Especially, just seeing our team from week in and week out. We have people going all over different positions. We're just trying to find, being a team that was together last year, but is now, a lot of new faces on the team. We're just trying to find exactly what gels together. And as far as making the decisions and, smoothing over disagreements or whatnot, we've been kind of fortunate not to have too many of those at this point. But, we do have good leadership on the team, people who have been there for a very long time, have been playing Second Life football for a long time, great owners. And usually, it ends up being Staples saying some stupid shit, and pretty much everybody just laughs, and then we just kind of, go over from there.
Right. So let's go back to you as players here. Give me kind of a short rundown of your background. What gaming did you do or do you do now, aside from SL football? And what do you find the most important functionally when you're practicing to play in the UFL here? What makes you a better player? Darian, go ahead.
Well, I think like most people here, I'm a console junkie. I've got every next gen console. I play first-person shooters, strategy games. But I think in terms of what helps me with football, when I first came to Second Life, I was really into combat sports. I started off in Rage Fighting Championships, fighting MMA, then went to Warrior Instinct Nations as a boxer, Lonsdale, House of Champions. I think those experiences, more than anything, really helped me to understand the principles of movement, direction, control, and I think that's translated well into football, as these guys both will probably tell you as well, because I think they've both had a similar background. As far as practicing, I think the most important thing to me is movement. You can't make a play, you can't make a block, you can't throw a pass if you're not in position to do so. If you don't have control of yourself out there on the field, you're not going to make things happen. So to me, everything starts with movement.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you said, the athleticism and the competitive spirit is certainly something that comes into play a lot, probably a lot more than people realize here. Troy, what do you think?
As far as my background goes for gaming, I am a console junkie. Love my Halo. Play a lot of Counter-Strike, first-person shooters, that kind of deal. But man, boxing back in the day probably was a huge help. Learning how to control your avatar. I've been playing football a long time. I think so has Blaze and Darian long enough that movement is key. And you really get that by just continually playing repetition, whether it's in pickup games or scrims or just practicing, just getting yourself out there and just seeing the same thing over and over again. Really kind of helps as a player where you should be on the field at certain times.
Yeah, for sure. And Blaze, what about you? Where have you been?
Well, before I first started playing Second Life football, I come from a computer FPS competition background.
Hell yeah.
So I've been kind of in competitions, from Unreal Days, SWAT 4, Call of Duty when it was still good back in the day. So pretty much I'm a big FPS junkie. So a lot of that has helped me, when I moved on to Second Life. And I mean, I still play all those games still now, but I know definitely for quarterbacking, it helps me because it basically you're kind of using the same movements. You're strafing left and right. You're angling your passes like you would angle a shot in a game. So a lot of that's helped here. And then practicing on Second Life. I always tell that to people that's and there's an Amber Alert going off on my phone, but pretty much the practice makes perfect. I know it's like really corny to say that, but you could tell the teams that practice and teams that don't practice.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's been like that since I've been on here since SFL season 1, the first season of football, and you could tell the teams that practice and put the work in, and against the teams that don't. It's just that simple.
And the ones that practice the right concepts the right way, like Darian was talking about movement. I think that's something that it seems so simple, it's overlooked often, maybe. So let's go back to your teams for just a moment. Think back to your most successful plays this last weekend, the ones that got you player of the game, and you can give some examples if you like. What were you relying on from your teammates to make those best moments possible? How did they really come through for you? Darian?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't know what earned me player of the game. It completely blindsided me. But if I had to speculate, I think one of the biggest things that happened out there between the first and the second half, first half I started off at outside linebacker, and I had some good success, but not as much as I'm used to. So we made an adjustment. We moved Gucci over there to outside linebacker, and I stepped back to middle linebacker and was able to make a couple of big plays. So I think that was probably what contributed to it, making that adjustment, putting myself in a position where I might have a better opportunity to make a play for the team. As far as relying on my teammates, it's just trust. You got to trust all of your teammates to play their positions the way that they're supposed to be played, to stay in their zones, to stay disciplined, to communicate. All of those things have to happen, because if they don't, then your team loses and you don't win player of the game. So, and I think I think the Warriors did really, really well in all those regards. Everybody was stepping up their game, staying disciplined, staying focused. We had some things going on that some teams might have lost their focus over, but we were able to kind of rebound from that and keep going forward. So, I'm proud of my guys, man. I'm proud of each and every one of them. I think they all did outstanding, and they've really come a long way since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, excellent. Troy, how about those Titans?
As far as successful plays goes, everything really starts up front with the lineman. If lineman miss blocks, it could easily blow up a play. It would ruin the entire play. I mean, you could completely no blocking up front, and the game is pretty much over. It's really hard as far as a quarterback to kind of put yourself to make a good pass. And then not only that, you're having receivers out there that are able to really grab those kind of not so accurate passes. Again, that repetition and trust that sometimes you just have to throw it up because there's really nothing else you can do. But again, just having those guys blocking and receivers that can catch. I mean, they're the players of the game right there. I mean, they make me look good. They make the whole team look good.
Yeah, I agree. O-line is one of those things that gets overlooked way too often, and kind of passed off as a support role, but it's a support role that's certainly needed. Blaze, tell us about the Mustangs. What do they do for you?
Mustangs, let me tell you something. These guys, I'm pretty much just talking about the last game, but I mean, just from being on this team this year, we've had our ups and downs and whatnot, but this team really showed last week what we were able to do when we're clicking and firing on all cylinders. I mean, going right down, up and down the line was blocking phenomenal. I mean, we were playing against a really good Raider team, a team that is full of veterans, full of great players. And without the line, and that's why I always say the line is literally the most important positions on the field. And it doesn't get a lot of love. It's not the glory position, but to be successful in this league, you need to have everybody firing on all cylinders. You got to have people wanting to be the line, not just there because, you don't think I'm good enough to be over here. It's important that people, I think, tend to have more opinion and they want to be better at stats. They want to have all the glory and whatnot. But it's the little people on the team, I don't even mean little, but I mean it's the people blocking the little things, doing all this, that if without them, I couldn't have done anything at that time. It's not like back in the day where, like, if you had one or two good people on your team in SFL or even the other leagues that your team was really good. It's more because the competition has gotten a lot better. There's a lot more gamers in this now than it used to be, and just the mechanics are a lot different. I mean, back in the day, blocking, you'd be blocked for like 10 seconds and you'd be already down the field if you were running around somebody. So a lot has changed, but the same principle's still there. You need blocking and you need your team to be together. If you don't have that, you're going to have a really hard time winning in this league.
Good to know. And our final question of the night, this is really the big one. Probably a lot of people are going to be listening for this one. What's the biggest thing that your opponent last weekend might have done to turn the game around on you? Darian?
Man, this is tough because I don't want to take anything away from the Cowboys. They are a class organization, and they have such a very talented roster. They got Tom and Matt, and just added Fearsome over there, and several others. So I think the biggest thing that I noticed, it seemed like there may have been just a lack of cohesion in their secondary. There was some breakdown in coverages, and we were able to kind of exploit pretty much the same area most of the night. So I don't think they could have done anything fundamentally different. I think they just need to come to learn one another a little bit better and learn to communicate and just kind of trust each other and play off of one another better. But overall, they're a great organization, and I think that last week was not indicative of their level of success that they're going to have this season.
That's good to know. Troy, what do you think?
Huskies have been around for a while. As far as having, I think Jared's been their quarterback now for quite a bit, and they have talented players like Jelani on their roster as well. But something that I noticed was really that offensive line wasn't working very well. I think in Jelani or in Jared's favor there. Again, if an offensive line gets blown up, it's very hard as a quarterback to do anything. It's hard to get the running game going, and then you can just blow up the pass just by continually just pressuring that quarterback. So. Starting out, Blaze said it, that line is kind of an overlooked position on the field, but it's very, very, very important.
And I have a prophetic feeling here that we're going to hear the same thing from Blaze on that now as well. Blaze, what did you see?
Yeah, I mean, the Raiders, like I said earlier, they're an amazing team. They're full of veterans that have been around. Biggest things that I just saw, I mean, every week I watch kind of the film of the week, prior. And I knew that their biggest targets at wide receiver are Snipe and also Michael Slate. Those two I've played with when I was on the Dolphins last year, and I know how dangerous they were. So basically, I just knew I had to, if they were in my area, I had to just get there. So, I mean, what could they have done different? I don't know. It was a lot of them. It was just who came down with the ball, and I was just getting lucky that game. I don't know if, the ball was, pretty much in my court at that point in time. And the line was also the big determining factor. Our line did a phenomenal job. And pretty much if they were able to penetrate, they got the sack on me. If they weren't, which a lot of times our line, like I said, was blocking very well, I was able to get around and just get enough yards in order to keep the play clock going.
Great, thanks a lot. And thanks once again to each one of you for coming out, sharing all this with us. Congratulations again to all of you on your selection as players of the game for Week 2. We're going to get Week 3 underway starting at 6 p.m. SLT. Good luck to you all again this weekend and in your other upcoming games. I want to take a moment to mention the other winners from the past week that weren't able to make it onto the show tonight. We had Crevin Tiros nominated for the 72-7 victory of the Seahawks against the Patriots. We had Cam Cora for the Buccaneers in a 77-0 win against the Broncos, and representing the Bulldogs for a 54-28 win over the Cobras. Bizarrely Positive Vibes was their player of the game. For Winner's Circle, I'm Durgan Hartunian. Keep winning.